Johnny Anton here, coming back with the jam-packed training on sourcing capital. This is video number 3. In the first 2 videos, we talked about the big picture of sourcing capital. In the second video, we talked about goals and tying in goals with sourcing capital and how this is a qualification process and some goals statements on implicating that they have a problem, talking about what the some of the different implication and need payoff questions. The spin selling process in that book really teaches you how to do all this stuff. But to really talk about how they can start sourcing, or even be able to talk about when to source with a client, you have to make sure they're really strong in their goals and they're excited about you and your process and they feel good about the results that you have. If they don't, you need to put them on an assignment to work on their goals. You also need to put them on an assignment to look at the due diligence. Have them look at your website, have them reach out to a coaching student or a client, have them look at testimonials and case studies. And try to make your case studies and testimonials video and interactive, video and audio. Someone who does this really well is Russell Brunson in the industry. Fortune Builders does this really well. They have webinars of people talking about transactions and deals that they've closed on, and we direct all the clients to the website. When they see other people that are doing exactly what they want to achieve in the particular niche that they're in or are located near where they are at, they get super excited. It's another level of rapport and trust and credibility that they build with your organization. And then this all kind of plays in to you being able to ask them about their money. You can't ask someone who hasn't seen results or hasn't seen your website about their money, unless you're really, really high level and you're really good at building rapport and trust on the phone on the first call. But I always like to stay away from it. I like to make sure that they're good on their goals and due diligence, and it keeps multiple people in your pipeline at different stages of the whole sales process. That allows them to really, feel comfortable with you and build momentum as they get closer and closer to the sale. And it allows you also to kind of let them know, hey, this is a sales process, but we want to work with people and qualify people and make sure they're coachable and open-minded and motivated. And, and that's why we have you do all this stuff, because if we're going to work together for the next 6 to 12 months or the next 3 to 5 years, if you're not willing to put down your goals and let us know where you're at financially, how else do you expect us to coach you in your business, right? So there's always that, that thing where you can qualify the client. Them raising money and you talking about their goals, it's the absolute best thing for the client. Brian Tracy in his book Goals talks about how the most important thing for people is seeing where you're starting from, assessing where you're at, and being really, really clear on where you need to be. And if you don't know where you're at financially and you don't know where you're at with your goals, then how can you invest into coaching? How can you take the next step and start your business, right? So just kind of really stressing that this whole process is exactly what the client needs, whether they work with you or not. They need to get clear on their money and raise as much capital as possible, because more money is more opportunity. And and teaching them the investor mindset is important. If they're going to be an entrepreneur, teaching them how to leverage credit or use other people's money, those are all principles that they're going to have to learn and implement and use in order to see success with your business coaching. Okay? And then it all comes down to coachability, and why that's important. Okay, so we've talked a lot about this stuff. Let's just dive right into the next couple minutes, how to source capital. So what I do is I start off with goals, right? And then I get really deep with their goals, and then I restate and relate what their goals are to them. So, for instance, I'd say, okay, Bob, so it sounds like, you're really passionate about spending time with your family. You want to give back to charitable organizations, in particular breast cancer, because, your wife or your mom experienced that. It sounds like you also want to be able to travel and really just, have the fruits of your labor and all the hard work that you've built up until this point really allow you to do what you want with your time. Am I hearing you correctly? Is that what you want to achieve, right? So you take their goals, you repeat them back to them, you restate them, and then I like to relate it. I like to talk about my family and what what I want to achieve and why I work for the company. And what this does is it just adds layers and layers of trust and credibility, and really goes back to this idea, do you really care for me? Clients want to know that you as a company care for them. And if you're willing to open up about yourself and they're opening up about themselves, you're going to have this deep connection where you can really truly not only make them feel good about working with your company or potentially working with you and getting them excited, but you can also make them feel as if this is a qualification process, that most other companies are just talking about deliverables and their pitch. Meanwhile, you're talking about how to think differently and look at their goals differently, and they're just going to respect you, your company, and the sales reps so much more. Okay, so I dive right in from the goals, restate and I relate, and then I go right into, okay, Bob and Susie, so it sounds like you're really motivated, and I go right into the offer and I say, okay, well, the opportunities to work one-on-one with, this business coach, and what you're going to be able to achieve is, phenomenal. You're going to have systems and tools and everything. But again, it's not for everybody. It's only for people who are open-minded, coachable, and qualified. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to see where you're starting from, where you're looking to go, and see if it's a good fit. If it's a good fit, we'd be more than happy to extend an invitation out to you. If you are excited and you feel you're ready, you could take that invitation and hit the ground running. And usually they're really excited when you explain the offer that way. You kind of say, hey, this is what you get. This is really exciting. It's not for everybody. That's why we interview. And and if you are ready after we interview, then you can take that step. If not, that's okay. We can part ways as friends, but at least you're clear on your goals. You're clear on where you're starting from, and now you know what steps to take. And boom, you go right into the money and say, okay, so what we're going to do here, Bob, what we're going to do, Mary, is we're going to dive right into your finances. If we're going to coach you and we're going to be your business coach, we want to make sure we know exactly where you're at, and we need to see what we can budget for marketing, coaching, etc., so that we know how to get you off the ground and really hit the ground running. Okay, so I use that transition statement to go right into the money, and I talk about credit first. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about credit. So what's your credit score? Okay, great. So so they don't know their credit score, you're going to send them to creditkarma.com. You're going to send them to a free website to check their credit. So I like to send them to creditkarma.com. So that's where in 2 minutes they can check their credit. And if they do know their credit score, I'll come back to it, but I talk to them about credit and really educate them on credit. But from credit, I go into their investments, and then I go into their cash. Cash is the last thing that you want your client spending. It's the last thing that they want to talk about. Cash is for them. Cash is for emergencies. Most people aren't very good at saving their cash or investing it, so you really want to focus on credit and investments, because that's the fastest way to get the business off the ground, and the fastest way to increase capital that they don't have liquidatable, that they either wouldn't have mismanaged or spent or allocated to other things. So credit investments are a great way to get started. Then you go into their cash. Then, what I like to do in here that I didn't include is talk about their discretionary income. Make sure, they know exactly how much is coming in and out of the business, or in and out of their personal life, so that they know what they can spend on a monthly basis in your business. This is very helpful for people who have subscription-based services, people who have, coaching, that's on a subscription base. It's really important to know how much money they have in discretionary income, right? That's the after-tax income minus their expenses, in order to really see what they're able to do in their business. How much ad spend do they have for marketing? If we're going to teach them Facebook ads, they need to have a certain amount allocated so that we can really, help them grow and learn. Okay, so moving on from here, if they don't have any money and they're really excited and they have good goals, I'll send them on a goals exercise, and I have them, hey, reach out to your friends and family, raise as much money as possible, and then this whole conversation is 20 minutes. I follow up in a week or in 3 or 4 days, and I hold them accountable to typing out their goals and sending them to me. That way they're staying on their goals and they're constantly in the loop. And then I come back and, usually sometimes they're able to get $500 or $1,000 from their family. You'd be surprised. You go ask 10 people tomorrow for $50, you get them in their introductory product or your, introductory academy for $1,000. Say, hey, if you have $1,000 or if you have $150 a month, if you can source that much money per month, I can get you started here today. Is that something that you're excited about? Awesome. I mean, you may not be ready for coaching. That's a $7,500 investment, but we do have this opportunity. Is that something that you feel like, if you had 2 or 3 days to figure out how to raise the money, I mean, how would you do it? And just remain quiet. And a few seconds will go by, and they'll say, okay, well, I can ask my aunt, I can ask my uncle. Okay, great. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to work on your goals. You're going to get clear on them. You're going to look at some of the case studies and see what's capable for you and get really excited about the opportunity. Stay super excited. Read your goals every day. I'll follow up with you in 3 days. And, usually 3 out of 10 times, it's not a high conversion, but usually 2 or 3 out of 10 times, they'll come up with $500 or $1,000. Okay, so the mindset around that as a business owner and having sales reps, if they can afford a $300 or $500 event, if they can come up with that money, then it's just getting them to see the value of their goals and getting them excited about the opportunity. They'll go and raise $500 to $1,000 to come back with your initial product, and then that way you're giving them a chance to succeed, whereas otherwise they wouldn't have, and they're just sitting at home on the internet, and they might end up buying something that won't help them right down the road. So it's your job to really help your sales reps, teach them how to source capital, and that's my process. I go from credit, investments, cash, discretionary income, friends and family, and follow-up. And you want to do it like you have to pee. And that's a funny thing that my mentor taught me when I first started sales over the phone, is that you want to do it so fast that it's not uncomfortable for the client, like you have to go to the bathroom right after the call. And then that way you're not spending 20 minutes on money, and a lot of people like to be uncomfortable and talk about their money on and on and on. You just want to move fast and say, hey, that's okay, I understand where you're at, and that's why we're on the phone. We're looking to take you to the next level. So let's just move on here and really try to make some progress, and that way you're able to deflect a lot of people who are uncomfortable about where they're at financially, and even though they're open to telling you, they want to explain why they're at where they're at. You're there to help them. So it's not going to help us to talk about why we're where we're at. It's going to help us to get to where we want to go. So do it like you have to pee and keep moving. And then, you want to always follow up with a goals exercise and have them do due diligence. And, if they're not open to this whole process, then, you go back to, hey, this is what coachable is. So, if we're going to coach you, we're going to have you go raise money in a business. Constantly you're always trying to raise money for different marketing campaigns, for different things, So, if you can't get your goals on paper and do some due diligence and show up to the next call excited, how are we going to work together for the next 6 to 12 months, right? I mean, this is like, these conversations are intended, Bob and Mary and Michael or Chris or whoever the client's name is, say, hey, these conversations are meant to be designed around, trial coaching. They're meant to really, show you the experience of coaching. You're going to have someone like me over the phone with you, and it's going to be guiding you, helping you get clear on your goals constantly, on your vision, showing you different ways to raise money or make money, and you're going to go out and implement those things. So, whether you work with us or not, do you see the value in getting your goals clear on paper? Do you see the value in doing research and see what your competitors are doing and what's capable for you? Do you see the value in going out there and raising credit on your credit lines and moving money around from investment accounts? I mean, whether you work with us or not, you need access to money. Do you not? And then you just have them constantly tell you what they're thinking and how they're looking at it, and that way you can get on the same page, educate them, build rapport, talk about their goals, and then anchor those things to get them to go and take action on what otherwise they would have not. And they're just, a lot of times they're just on the phone, they want to hear all the deliverables and the details and then sit on it and think about it. No, you have a process, and you're looking for people who are coachable, open-minded, motivated, and that's how your sales reps are going to get to 5-6 figures a year, multiple 6 figures, is if they have the process really down. And I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm super excited and amped, if you could tell. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, that's how you source, and that's how the mindset around sourcing, and that's what you kind of educate to the client. And in the next video, we'll talk about the different ways to source and the different tools you can use to help the client source money, and then the different issues and objections and qualification and reassuring statements you can use and implement on the phone with the client, so that you can keep them in their process and keep that rapport and that you have and keep them going. So I'm excited. I'll see you in the next video, and it's been an honor and pleasure, as always.